Okay, that could have gone better, I think, but it's over now. Welcome to This Is Not a Serious Hornets podcast, a video edition here on the YouTube channel. I'm not sure I'm going to put this up on the podcast feed, so if you're watching live on YouTube, congratulations. This might be the only place you can catch this Summer League recap. I'm Doug Branson. I'm normally joined by David Walker. He's going to join me for the full show that we'll do tomorrow morning, probably doing that around 10 a.m. Eastern. So if you're hanging around, if you want to kind of skip work for a few minutes, come join us at 10 a.m., chat about the Hornets. Hopefully we'll get started on time. Hit the chat right now. Let me know your thoughts on Summer League Game 2, the Charlotte Hornets versus the Sacramento Kings. They dropped this one 80-70, the final score, but it felt a lot more brutal than that. Sacramento really turned up the defense. They turned up the heat on these baby bees. And I think it's fair to say the Charlotte Hornets within the baby bees were not ready for this one. Just go over some box score stats really quickly. Probably the two best players of the night were Liangelo, ball 4 of 8 from the field, 10 points, 5 rebounds. Hit some shots near the end where you thought, okay, maybe the Hornets get back into this, make it interesting. But as soon as Davion Mitchell for the Kings came back in, the Kings pulled away for good. The guy in the first half that was really impressive, and I thought honestly throughout the game showed the most to me in a game with very few highlights, was Arnie. Arnoldas Kulboka, who for some reason the announcer like all night kept calling him Kulboko. I don't know what was going on there. Maybe just a misreading of the old roster sheet there. But Arnie, as the team affectionately refers to him, 13 points, 2 steals, 1 assist, 3 rebounds, but was making just clean passes all night. I just thought was one of the sort of the steadiest hand tonight and really played well. So Arnie Kulboka, congratulations. You'll get the MVP, I think. DJ Carton, also 3 of 5 from the field, 7 of 9 from the free throw line, got to it often, 13 points, but 6 turnovers. James Bouknight adds 5 turnovers, and that was a big story, I think, for the Hornets in this one, 22 turnovers. I mean, look, Summer League's sloppy. Summer League's weird, but 22 turnovers. It was difficult to really show off anything and get into any kind of rhythm. It affected every single player when the ball was constantly being turned over. And if it wasn't being turned over, it was just sloppy offense, not much movement. I mean, this was just not a very beautiful game to watch. And that's the first chat here from Most Tears. Yeah, it was a tough watch. It wasn't a good hang, unfortunately. Injury report, the only injury to report was the one guy that missed this game, Scotty Lewis, the second-round pick this year for one of the second-round picks this year for the Charlotte Hornets. I don't know if you remember, but game 1, he rolled his right ankle pretty hard, stayed in the game, but I think came out pretty quickly after that. He was out nursing that ankle. And really, again, I think this game came down to Sacramento just pressuring rookie mistakes. I mean, that's what we're seeing, folks, just rookies being rookies out there. Bouknight, it affected almost everyone. Bouknight, I thought, it started in the first quarter, 24-second violation. He was dribbling into corner traps. There was this situation in the game where it was Bouknight versus Davion Mitchell a little too much. So Davion Mitchell goes to the Kings several picks before Bouknight, so maybe Bouknight feels slighted. He falls to 11. Davion Mitchell is the pickup for the Sacramento Kings, and Davion, I think, took it personally too. He wanted to show up. Bouknight, and was able to either get him to dribble into a trap, or there was a play in the second half where just one-on-one, it was just completely Davion Mitchell versus James Bouknight, and Davion just put the clamps on and forced a turnover. So that matchup really didn't favor Bouknight. And I would say if there's a point of improvement for Bouknight, it's don't get in those one-on-one type of situations. Greg Anthony pointed this out, like use your pick and roll, utilize those tools that you have to get easier shots. I think that's sort of the theme from Bouknight in this game too, is that his offense was incredibly difficult to come by. And when he missed shots, they were tough shots. When he made shots, they were tough shots. So if you're Bouknight, there's got to be a way to get some easier shots. I won't put it all on Bouknight. In fact, this is a great chat here from Steven saying DJ Carden and Riller seem to stop the ball a lot. There was a general problem in this game with point guard play. I like DJ Carden. I've liked what I've seen from him so far, but he was turning the ball over too much. But at least he was developing a little bit of offense and he was making quick decisions. And I thought DJ Carden, maybe he stopped the ball a few times, but I think generally he was making quick decisions and getting the ball out of his hands and moving it. I mean, generally the ball movement was bad in this game. But I think you point to the guy here, Grant Riller, was 0 of 7 to start the game, finally got 1 to go down in the mid-range. But I thought Riller was just doing a little too much all game. Didn't love what he sort of offered in this one. And I think they've got to – I think if you're Dutch Gailey, the head coach for this Charlotte Hornets Summer League team, you've got to rethink the ball distribution. Maybe starting Carden, maybe flipping those point guards around. I mean, you've got who you got in terms of the roster. But I think, again, I'll go back to Greg Anthony, who made the salient point here, which is that you shouldn't be too worried about Bouknight at this point, and not after one Summer League game, certainly. I mean, he was fantastic in the first Summer League game, so these are simply learning lessons for the young guys. But he's going to have, and the guy sitting watching the game, spectating LaMelo Ball, is probably looking at this situation and going, yeah, this Book kid's the real deal. When he is on the court with me or some of these other folks, Ish Smith, these pros, it's going to be a lot easier. There's not going to be as much attention paid to him. I mean, look, if you're Sacramento, the game plan was go in and pressure the hell out of James Bouknight, and that's what they did. And kudos to Sacramento. They ran their game plan. They've got a lot of young, hungry kids. You look back at that Portland game, they were starting a lot of vets. The defense, the pressure wasn't very high. I mean, those vets were kind of getting into their groove a little bit, and the game was slower. This game was played up-tempo, it was played fast, it was played intense, and the Hornets will now have to sort of regroup, take that one on the chin, learn the lesson, and move on. And Steven here saying, agree with you, GA was great on commentary. I thought so, yeah, I like GA. I think Summer League's got some, it's so funny to me, right? Like, Summer League has some of the best commentary in the NBA. So, like, once we get into the regular season, no, I'm not talking about our local guys. You know I love my EC and EC and DC. Nothing wrong with that. But I'm talking about the national slate of announcers. It's so difficult to listen to. Not a huge fan of Reggie Miller. Not a huge fan of what Chris Webber has to offer. Then you got the Waldorf and Statler on the ESPN call, Mark Jackson and Van Gundy. Like, I don't understand why we can't get more like GA and Steph Reddy. And, the one person that I'm really like fond of in terms of bold analysis is Doris Burke, on the call. So I don't know. It's not changing. I don't know how much complaining people can do on Twitter. It's a lot at this point. And yeah, Steven's saying Steph Reddy doing it. Yeah, Steph Reddy's awesome. She's great on the call. So good to see her, coming out of the Charlotte Hornets stable of commentary talent and doing her thing there on NBA TV. So it was cool. So I mean, generally, again, I'm not too concerned about what they were offering. I thought the same thing kind of was happening with Kai Jones, dribbling into no man's land. He got stripped from behind early in this game, and then a bad look from three. But Brad Rowland, who's the host of Locked On Hawks, watches a lot of basketball, does a lot of prospect analysis, tweeted in the third or fourth quarter, said like he's there in person in Vegas watching Kai Jones, and was like, a guy this size shouldn't be able to move like he does. And so then you start to go, wait a minute, he's not even probably as big as he's going to get. Like, you can see the potential for him to get bigger. And that's what excites you. And I'm not comparing Kai Jones to Giannis. Not yet anyway. But I'm going to say the same thing, which is like Giannis could move like that and then he bulked up and he could still move like that. And that's sort of the exciting prospect about Kai Jones. It's not about what numbers he puts up this year. It might not even be about what numbers he puts up next year. It's about the potential. And he seems to really love the game. And I think him and James Bouknight both come off to me as guys that really want to improve their game and really just have this idea of like, I know what it takes. I know the work you have to put in, and it feels like they're going to do it. That's why I'm not as concerned with some of the stuff that was, happening in this one. Let's see. What are my other notes here? Yeah, just, Bouknight going one-on-one too many times. Slow. I thought he was still slow on the ball. And this was something that was actually pointed out by Dutch Gailey after Summer League Game 1 that, Bouknight has got to push the pace. It just has to happen. I think there was a one play where he went coast to coast. So you had that one play, but I think generally he didn't initiate the offense a lot. And I don't know if that's by design from the Summer League team. But the ball was in Grant Riller's hands a lot. The ball was in Carton's hands a lot. You love to see Bouknight initiate a little bit more of the offense. So let's talk about Liangelo for a second. Liangelo, coming alive again. He was a player that I was like, first half didn't really do all that much. Was active on defense, making good passes, but just not in a group of players that, again, because the offensive rhythm wasn't there, wasn't getting a lot of open opportunities from three. But then in the second half, stepping up, he had that great play where he missed the three short, but immediately recognized it, got his own miss, and then threw up the floater. Again, there's a little bit of that natural instinct that all of these Ball family members seem to have when they get out on the floor. He understands the game in a special way. I would say there were two plays in this game that really illustrated sort of the interesting thing about Liangelo. And it makes you wonder, can he make the team? I could see it both ways because you had that play where, again, it's all instinct. It's all hustle. It's all making, the right play in a split second kind of deal. Liangelo has that. But then there was another play where I think it was Kulboka hit him with a nice cut, and he had a nice baseline cut, Liangelo did, and Kulboka hit him with a great pass. And then Liangelo just got bodied by the defender. And so that's when I listened to Locked On Hornets today, and Walker says he doesn't look like an NBA player to me. I don't know, because that's really where the analysis stopped for Walker. I'm sure he has more thoughts, but they got off onto something else. So I don't know if necessarily Walker was talking about his body or his feel for the game. I'm going to assume that Walker was talking about his body, because I just think Liangelo doesn't look like he has great size for his position. And so is he going to work his ass off? Could he be a great G League player? Could there be opportunities for him to make this roster eventually? I think so. It seems like he's had a great time here, and he feels like this organization believes in him in a different way. So could that open up some things for Liangelo over the course of time? Yes. I'm a little more realistic today than I was after Summer League Game 1. This is my favorite take time of the year. I love to get excited about all the young guys and all of the potential and all of the promise. How long has it been since we could say that? I mean, for the past couple of years, the Hornets have been about youth, and they've been about promise, and they've been about player development, and they've been about doing things the right way. And the Hornets are finally starting to shed some of the former eras that didn't quite work out for one reason or another. All of these players that represent, I think, an old Hornets guard are finally starting to move away. They've just extended Borrego, which we'll dive into this a little bit deeper tomorrow with David, but I'm totally on board for. Why? Because it means consistency for LaMelo Ball to develop. People aren't talking about New Orleans right now. They're not talking about Zion. Remember, Zion was supposed to be the next coming of LeBron James. He's going to revolutionize, pull an entire franchise up. Well, it's not happening right now, and it may never happen because New Orleans keeps swapping coaches. And so Zion can't get his feet on the ground. I feel for Zion because and he's a transcendent talent, and he might overcome it all, despite the fact that they keep swapping coaches. But I think it's such a great idea. I'm so glad the Hornets decided to keep the coach, keep Borrego in right now, because he's got the trust of LaMelo. He's got the trust of some of these younger players. He's a great coach for now. And let's see what happens as LaMelo starts to lift this team up. All right, let's go back out to the chat. Danny on the chat saying Liangelo played pretty well. I like that, Daniel. Pretty well. That's a reasonable thing, and you'll see a ton of highlights on YouTube, so enjoy those. He's getting a lot of hype right now, and that's fine. Hype and fun around the Charlotte Hornets is not a bad thing right now. Let's see. Danny, we'll go back to Danny here saying, I'm feeling okay giving Cody Martin's roster spot to Jello. Oh, man, they eject Caleb and you're ready to eject Cody too. Oh, man, Danny, ruthless. He says, one twin, get the other twin out of here. Starbright saying, Summer League is Summer League. I mean, I agree with that. I mean, that you get what you pay for. This is Summer League, baby. You got to take the good with the bad. There were a lot of great highlight plays in Game 1. Again, Game 2, I think a completely different situation where you had a young, hungry Sacramento team with a lot of good defensive talent. And I'll say this, too, a lot of genuine size on that Sacramento Kings Summer League roster. The Hornets don't really have that. Kai Jones, not traditional size at that position. Liangelo Ball, not traditional size at that position. You saw James Bouknight struggle a couple times because he's not going to move anybody off the spot. He's not Davion Mitchell. Davion Mitchell is more like that Donovan Mitchell mold. Guy, low center of gravity, low to the ground, can really, use his body to create space once he's inside. That's not James Bouknight. He's got to duck and dodge and weave, and he can't really take a lot of contact or it's going to knock him off his spot and he's going to turn the ball over. Steven here saying the fanfare is wild, but the guy's got some game. That's what I'm saying. He's coming out and he's showing out, and the crowd wants it, and the crowd is cheering for him, and the lights are bright right now, and there you go. He's doing it. He's doing it well. Let's talk about Arnie Kulboka for a second. This was a draft and stash cat. If you're just joining us here in Hornets land, Kulboka, second-round pick. They took a flyer on him, and he's been spending some time overseas. And I was questioning if we were ever going to see this guy. And then all of a sudden, it's not just, hey, let's give him a tryout in G League and see, what the update is, see how he's doing, and then maybe we'll give him a contract. Before Summer League ever started, the Hornets decided, okay, we're locking this guy down on a two-way contract, and you can see why. You can see now what they were seeing, a player that not only is bulked up, not only is stronger, but just skill-wise can do a lot more. In fact, he looks like one of the most confident players and playmakers on the floor right now for the Charlotte Hornets, making great backdoor cuts, court vision, passing, knocking down open shots. He was doing that early in this game. So I'm excited to see what Kulboka has in store for the rest of this Summer League. Yeah, Steven, too. Thought Arnie looked good on the offensive end. I'm excited about the Hornets right now. They've extended the coach. They've got some young players in tow right now. LaMelo Ball was looking like gold member on the sideline, had rocking some nice Hornets themed chains. See, here's the deal. Whenever LaMelo does anything related to the Hornets, I'm going to take it and I'm going to appreciate it. I'm going to soak it in because it's loyalty. It's loyalty. It's loyalty to the franchise. LaMelo, I love it. I love the buy-in from the Ball family right now. LeVar cheering on his kids from the sideline. I just love it all, man. I'm having a blast. I'm not in Vegas, unfortunately, but I feel like I'm in Vegas, baby. We're hitting the slot machines, free drinks for everybody. This has been a pretty fun ride so far, and I'm glad you guys are joining me on it and joining this great endeavor that we're doing here with This Is Not a Serious Hornets podcast. If you like this show, please support us on Patreon, patreon.com/HornetsPod. I'm going to be trying to do a few more of these recaps through the rest of Summer League and through the regular season. We'll also do the full shows with my buddy David Walker, where we not only talk about Hornets, but we talk about TV, we talk about movies, we talk about all the things that we want to talk about. So join us on those live episodes and tell somebody, tell a friend. That's how we make this thing happen. If you know somebody who likes the Hornets, say, hey, there's this podcast. Yes, they talk about the Hornets, but they also have a good time. It's a fun show. Definitely spread the word so we can get this thing going. So I'm going to head out. Thanks so much for joining me. Go Hornets. Go America. Let's swarm Charlotte.